Welcome to the TrendMicro Deep Security 10 for Administrators video series. This collection of videos provides an overview of tasks that may be required as part of your work as an administrator in Deep Security Manager. Administrators will perform many of the day-to-day tasks related to Deep Security Manager through a web-based console. In this video lesson, we will tour the Deep Security Manager web console and examine the menus and options that are available in this web-based interface. In the web browser, type the URL of the TrendMicro Deep Security Manager web console in the address bar of the web browser. The URL is formed with the name of the computer hosting the Deep Security Manager and the port that is used for communication. In this case, the default is 4119. The sign-in dialog box is displayed. In this particular scenario, we have configured Deep Security Manager with multiple tenants. An additional account name field is displayed on the sign-in dialog box, which will allow you to type the name of your tenant. In a regular Deep Security Manager installation without tenants, the dialog box will look similar to this. Since we are going to be logging in as the administrator in the primary tenant, we don't have to put an account name. We can go directly to the username field and type in the username and the password. The username and the password are assigned during the setup of Deep Security Manager. Click Sign In, and you'll be brought directly to the web console interface. At the top of the screen, you'll notice the name of the administrator that's currently logged in as displayed. And notice that this administrator is the administrator on the primary tenant. If you are logged in as one of the other tenants, the name of the account will be displayed here. Since we have logged in and authenticated correctly, you can click the arrow and then access properties for the administrator or change the password for this administrator. When this administrator has completed their task in the web console, they can click Sign Out to close the session. Deep Security 10 Feature Release 1 introduces a new menu item called News. The news feed is going to display short articles about updates, new product releases, malware outbreaks, and other things that the product team would like you to know about. You can also subscribe to the news feed through any RSS reader. The Help menu item will allow you to get access to the Online Help Center. The Online Help Center has all of the documentation related to deep security. The Help Center is context sensitive, so if you click the Help menu, it'll bring you directly to the topic which is currently selected in the web console. You can also search through the entire Help Center by clicking in the search field. The Support menu will allow you to get access to the support website. The support website will include support documents and other information which can be useful for troubleshooting issues in deep security. Plus, it also gives you easy access to your support account so that you can view the status of cases that are currently being worked on. The support menu also includes access to the deployment script generator. The deployment scripts will allow you to install and activate agents through scripts which can be executed on different systems. We will return to the deployment scripts tool in a later video lesson. Also, quick access to the Help Center is available through the Help Search dialog box. Click in this particular field, type a topic, and will return all of the Help Center topics related to your search. In our installation, we are currently using the SQL Express database. Since this database has a size limit to it, a yellow warning banner is displayed at the top of the interface to remind you that support for this particular database is going to be limited to deployments with a certain number of protected computers. If you are going to be using more than the suggested number of protected computers, we would recommend that you would use the full version of the SQL Oracle or PostgreSQL database. When you first log into the web console, you're going to be brought to the dashboard page. The dashboard page displays information about different conditions in Deep Security Manager, and these conditions are going to be displayed through the use of widgets. The default page includes a collection of widgets that are installed by default, and you can add widgets to that page by clicking Add Remove Widgets. This will bring up a dialog box with a list of all of the widgets that are available, and you can click to select and add any widgets to the display. If you'd like to remove particular widgets from your display, you can click the X to remove them, and then you can reorder just by dragging and dropping into the appropriate place. When we enabled multi-tenancy in this particular installation of Deep Security, a Tenants tab was created automatically, which provides access to some of the tenant-related widgets, or you can create your own custom tabs by clicking plus and typing a name for the tab. So I'm going to create a demonstration dashboard. There are no widgets at this point, so we'll click the Add Remove Widgets and add the ones that are appropriate for our new tab. And anytime you'd like to get rid of this tab, you can just click the X to remove it. The Actions menu item will allow you to view actions related to the Application Control Protection module. In this case here, we can view all of the software changes that have occurred within the last 7 days. So on Sunday, August 20th, we had a software change to this application. And if we want to allow that changed software to be able to function, we can click on Allow All. Or if we want to add it to the block list, we can click Block All. We will learn more about application control in a later video. The Alerts menu is going to display messages about conditions occurring in Deep Security Manager. For example, here we've sent an alert to identify that the execution of a particular software was blocked on one computer. And you can click Show Details to view more information. Or you can switch to a list view, which will only list the items. You can double click to view the details of any of these alerts. You can also change the grouping. So you can sort the alerts by severity, by alert, by target, by subject, by grouping. And you can also limit the computers that are displayed on the Alerts tab. For example, we can show all computers, computers that are in a particular group, computers that are using a particular policy, or you can identify a specific computer. You can configure which alerts are displayed by clicking the Configure Alerts button. And this will present a list of all of the alerts that are available in Deep Security Manager. You'll see the severity and whether it's enabled. If you'd like to disable a particular alert, so let's say we no longer want to have an alert for an activation fail, you can click on Properties and change the alert status from on to off. And once it's turned off, the alert will no longer be raised when this activity occurs. So let's close the alert configuration dialog box. Now the alerts are going to be displayed on the Alerts tab, but an email message can also be forwarded to an administrator to warn them of this occurrence. For this to work, an SMTP server does need to be configured. But if you go to Administration under System Settings and Alerts, so whatever email address that you type here is going to be the recipient of the alert emails when these particular situations occur. Under the Users menu, if you go to a particular administrator, so in this case we have our default administrator, double-click to open the properties, or you can click on the Properties menu. Under the Contact Information tab, you can type in an email address and click Receive Alert Emails. And in this case, any alerts that are triggered are going to be forwarded to this particular user as well. The Events and Reports menu is going to display event information that is generated when protection module rules or conditions are triggered. The event data that is generated can then be used to populate various reports and graphs in Deep Security Manager. In the left-hand pane under Events, we have a System Events item, and this will allow you to view all of the system events that have happened for a particular period of time and for a particular group of computers. If I modify this and say, show me everything that has taken place within the last 24 hours for a particular group of computers, so let's say all of the servers, you click the search button and all of the events that match that criteria will be displayed. In this case, we have nothing that matches that particular criteria. The Anti-Malware Events will display all of the events related to malware filtering, and you can see the date and time at which the event took place, the affected computer, and the file that was infected. And here again, you can limit the filtering. So in the last 24 hours for all computers, these are the malware events that occurred. The Identified Files item is going to display all the files that have been identified as malware. And on the menu, you have options to restore these files. If you know that the file is valid, you can restore it to its original location. Or you can download the file from the affected computer for further analysis. Web Reputation Events will display any events related to access to malicious URLs. Firewall Events will display any events related to firewall rules that were triggered. Intrusion Prevention Events will display any events that occurred when your intrusion prevention rules were triggered. Integrity Monitoring Events will display any events related to changes to monitored system objects. The Log Inspection Events will display any conditions that triggered the log inspection rules. And then Application Control Events will show you your security events and your decision logs. So for example, if you had some application control events that have happened within a certain period of time, they'll be displayed in the security events. So in this case, there are no events within the last 7 days. The Generate Report item will allow you to publish the details of the events to a PDF or a rich text file format. From the Report menu, select a report. So you're going to select the particular conditions. For example, let's say, give me a report of all the malware activity that has taken place. You can select the format for your report, and then you're going to identify which information is going to be added into the report. For example, we can filter the information based on tags. We can filter the information based on a period of time. For example, show me all of the activity within the last 7 days. Or you can filter based on a collection of computers. You also have the option to encrypt the reports. And when you click Generate, the report is created and the report can be downloaded and viewed. The Computers menu will allow you to view all of the computers that are managed within your Deep Security Manager installation. Security can only be applied to computers that are displayed in the computers list. This list will allow you to manage and monitor all of the computers that are under the protection of the Deep Security Manager. Computers in the list can be sorted into groups. For example, if I wanted to see all of the computers that I've added to the laptops group, to the network appliances group, to the servers group, or I can click the computers level, which will display all of the computers that are currently being secured. And in the computer list, double-click on a computer to bring up the details. So we can see information about the computer, we can see actions that can be performed, we can see events related to this computer, plus we can see the configuration for the different protection modules. There are actions that are available on the menu at the top of the computers list, or you can right mouse click on the computer and go to the Actions menu and select those same activities. As you hover over a computer in the list, you're going to notice a preview icon. Click the preview to get a quick display of the status of that particular computer. For example, whether the computer has an agent installed, whether it's currently managed, and which protection modules are currently enabled. So in this situation, we can see that this particular computer here is currently blocking software using the Application Control Protection module. The columns that are displayed in the computer list are customizable. Let me just make a little bit more room here. Slide this over. And let's say we want to add an additional column. You can click the Columns button, and you have extra information that can be displayed in the computers list. A handy column to display would be the Tasks column, and this will allow you to view operations that are currently being performed on an agent computer. We'll be able to view some of the tasks that are being performed in some of the later video lessons. We are currently organizing our computers in the computers list using groups. Groups are assigned to a particular computer through properties. So if I double click on a computer and go to the details, there's an option called Group, and from the list I can select the group in which I would like this computer to be displayed. So for example, I could say I want this computer to be displayed in my servers group. In this case, the group assignment is static. You can also create a dynamic group assignment through the use of something called smart folders. Currently, we don't have any smart folders in the system, so let's create one. So click Create a Smart Folder, give it a name. So let's say this is going to be all my Windows 2008 computers. And then I set up some search criteria. So this is where you identify which computers are going to be displayed when you click the smart folder. So let's start by selecting a property. So we'll start by saying I'm going to search for any operating system that contains the word 2008. And then I can add another rule that says, show me only the ones that are currently active. So let's say activated is yes. Click Save, and now the smart folder is displayed. And anytime you click on the smart folder, the list of computers will be filtered to only display the ones that match your particular criteria. Smart folders are used to organize computers in the computers list, but they're also going to be used in other places. For example, when you're generating a report, you can generate a report based on the smart folder, and only the data for the computers that are within that smart folder will be added to the report. The Policies menu will allow you to access the different policies that are available in Deep Security. There is a collection of policies that are available by default in the software, or you can modify this tree as needed and add as many policies that are required. Policies are created in a hierarchical structure and become more specific as you move down the tree. For example, we have a base policy. If you make a change to the base policy, these settings will be applied to all computers in the hierarchy. Or if you go down a level, for example, if you click on the Windows policy item, you can set items which should be applied to Windows computers only. And if you go down even further into another child policy, you can select a particular type of Windows system. For example, I have some policy settings that I want to add only to my Windows Server 2012 machines. Double-clicking on a policy will bring up the Details dialog box that will allow you to see which items are configured in this policy. In the Windows Server 2012 policy that's distributed with the software, you'll notice that we have the Anti-Malware Protection module enabled, but the Web Reputation Protection module is currently off, and this is inherited from a parent policy above it. Each of the protection modules is displayed on the left-hand side, and in our Windows Server 2012 policy, we can enable and disable certain settings and add and remove different rules to the policy. We will be taking a look at the process of adding policies to computers in some of the later video lessons. The administration menu is going to allow you to view a variety of configuration settings. If you click on System Settings in the left-hand pane, you're going to see there is a collection of tabbed items, and these are collections of settings related to particular topics. For example, all of the tenants related settings are going to be organized in the Tenants tab. All of the agent settings are organized in the Agent tab, and so forth. On the left-hand side, if you click the Scheduled Task item, you're going to be able to see all of the scheduled tasks that have been created. Deep Security has many tasks that you might want to perform automatically on a regular basis. And you can do this by creating a scheduled task. Scheduled tasks are going to be particularly useful to keep your system up to date and functioning smoothly. Notice that we have two default scheduled tasks, and these were created as part of the setup operation. In this case, we're going to do a daily check for security updates, and this is going to happen daily at 3 o'clock. And we're going to do a check for software updates daily at the same time. To create a new scheduled task, just click New, select when you would like this task to take place. So for example, I want this to happen on a daily basis. And I'm going to do, say for example, I'm going to generate a report. I want this report to be generated at a particular time, so let's say I want it to run at 2300 hours every day. And which report do I want? I want, let's say, the alert report for all computers. I can identify which users I want to receive this report. So for example, I want the administrator to receive it. And then you get a summary. So now we have a new task that's going to kick off every day at 11 o'clock p.m. to generate our report. Event-based tasks let you monitor protected computers for specific events and perform tasks based on specific conditions. There are no default event-based tasks, so let's create one. In this example, let's perform a task whenever a computer is created by the system. So this is going to be handy in scenarios where computers are going to be automatically started up, say for example, a cloud workload that is being launched because you have a certain load on your system. So in this case, the new workload is going to be automatically added to the computers list, and when that computer is created, we want to trigger a particular task. So in this case, we want to activate the computer and we want to assign it a particular policy. So in this case, I want it to have, let's say, the Windows policy. And then you can set up other conditions. Running Deep Security Manager as multiple nodes provides increased reliability, redundant availability, unlimited scalability, and better performance. In this case, we only have the one node in operation, and that node is displayed here. If you have multiple nodes operating, they'll all be listed here. Once multi-tenancy mode is enabled in Deep Security Manager, tenants can be managed from the tenants item that is now displayed. And we can see here the names of the tenants that are currently available in our system and their state. If for some reason you do not want a particular tenant to be able to access, you can come in here, modify the properties, and change certain aspects. For example, suspend that particular tenant. The licenses item displays information related to the licenses for Deep Security Manager. So you'll notice that the licenses for these different protection modules have been activated, and we can see the expiry date. And we'll notice here that we're not currently licensing the Deep Security Scanner. The user management item is going to allow you to display the users that have Deep Security Manager accounts who can sign in with a unique username and password. Currently, the only administrator that we have in our system is the default admin that was created as part of this setup, but you can create other administrators by creating a new user, providing username and password information, and their role. The role is the second item in the menu here, and the role is going to provide a collection of permissions which will allow this administrative user to view data and perform operations within Deep Security Manager. Each user must be assigned a role to be able to perform operations in the web console. Contacts are users who cannot sign into Deep Security Manager, but they are assigned roles that define the scope of the information that could potentially be sent to them. So I might want to send a report to someone, but these people are not users with administrative roles. I can set them up as a contact and then forward reports to these users. In Deep Security 10 Feature Release 1, we've added the ability to configure Deep Security Manager as a service provider. In this scenario, we're going to allow users to authenticate using information that is managed by a SAML 2.0 identity provider. A relationship is going to be created between the service provider, which is deep security, and the identity provider, which will be an external third-party application. And once that relationship is created, there's going to be an exchange of certificate information that will allow these two parties to communicate securely using encrypted and signed security assertions. System information will display a summary of system details. So for example, we could see information about nodes, we can see information about versions of software that's being used, database information, how many jobs have been processed, and all kinds of detailed information about what's going on in your system. From here, you can also create diagnostic packages. So if you're dealing with a support engineer at TrendMicro, you can create a diagnostic package which will bundle all kinds of files together into a zip file, which can then be forwarded to the support engineer to help troubleshoot your issues. And finally, in the administration section, you have an updates item, which will allow you to view the security update status and the software update status. We can see here that our connection to the TrendMicro update server is okay, and we have the date and time of our last updates, and we can see that all of our relays are in sync and all of our computers are up to date with the most current security updates. And you can also click on the software item to see that all of your computers are up to date with the software that they're using. This completes our tour of the Deep Security Manager web console. Thank you for viewing this video, and be sure to return to view other videos in the TrendMicro Deep Security 10 for Administrators video series.